refreshment. Now, what's this? What this is saying is that yes, we're not saying you're going to bribe people, but when you're making a declaration, someone should come to your declaration and probably, yes, a bottle of water. You should be able to provide for a bottle of water. Even if a bottle of water might be expensive, depending on the crowd, at least even if pure water. Some people you might think it's not important, but people you'll be shocked about how people are like, wow, this man is even so caring. He even thought about us that we come out in the sun, or wherever, even if it's in a town hall, at least he thought about some refreshment for us. So you should always think about that. And then negative reception, you should be prepared for that challenge because you would go to some places, probably be booed, probably be heckled, and you must be prepared for that. It is important to keep in mind that regardless of how prepared you are, there will be challenges, encumbrances. So be prepared mentally, stay strong, and be guided by your convictions and ambition, because that is what is going to push you when the going gets tough. Is those your convictions and being mentally prepared that will forge you ahead because you would have those difficult or challenges. They must come. It's not going to be smooth sailing. You can be rest assured about that. Where should I make a declaration? Depending on the office sort and its respective constituency, declarations are made in the following arenas, like I briefly talked about earlier: national TV, state TV, national radio, local radio, town hall, social or religious gatherings, social media. Note that one, some, or all of these may be used, and that you may have to repeat your declaration a number of times. I told you that, like when you are going to different words, it's going to be a repetitive thing. I'm sure at some point you might not even need to read from the text because you have been saying it over and over again, and it's stuck in there, so you can even say it from your head. The key thing is to be consistent. That's what matters the most when you're making a declaration. Now, and your manifesto help to make a declaration when activity is reduced, such as over the weekend or a public holiday. Because when you're making your declaration, manifesto, and agenda, at least the first time, you want to create a large buzz. How are you going to create that large buzz? It's by choosing a perfect day when maybe activity is low, people are not at work, people have time to be able to attend. People would, even if they're not attending, they can watch on TV at home. They can listen to watch live stream and things like that. So you should always put that as you are looking for a day whereby you can achieve at least a lot of traffic. Then the second one, don't announce your campaign before you have your campaign budget and strategy in place. I talked about that earlier. You should always have your budget. A budget is not exhaustive. It's just a general idea of, okay, this is how much I'm thinking of putting into this, because as you go on, some things will spring up and that you'll have to take care of here and there. Test your theme and message before you declare. The important issues you wish to address, your action plan, your political philosophy. What does that mean? You should have someone that you are going to play devil's advocate. Wherever you test, you have your team, your campaign team, you maybe go back and forth. They criticize what you're talking about so that you make corrections and trying to, amend where they feel, okay, this doesn't sound right. It's not going to rub off well with the electorate. So change here and there. So that's what this means. Select the most ideal location to announce, bearing your target audience in mind. We talked about that in the course of text, where I said, if you're going to run for State House of Assembly, or even local government chairman, or even councillor, now why would you go and be wasting your money to go and make an official declaration on the national TV? When, for example, a councillor, your target audience is the ward, and most of those people in that ward might not even have TVs. So it will be a live presentation whereby you go to a town hall and gather people. So why would you be going on national TV for that? Do you get? So you should always put that in consideration, whatever office you're running for. Is it necessary for me to, go and do something so large when my target audience is limited? That's number 4. Be punctual, arrive and set up before time. Now we have this big manism thing we do in this country, whereby you have people wait for you there, then you strut in a few hours later, after people have started getting tired. I believe that you are the one that wants, you are inviting people to come to your declaration and unveiling of your manifesto and agenda. Why won't you be there first? I've always talked about this. I know a lot of people might think, oh, okay, this is Nigeria, that doesn't happen. But this is part of what begins to make people understand that, okay, this is a ready person. Someone that is there on time before they are, set up, waiting for people to come. It shows the level of seriousness and you respect the people. This is my own opinion. I don't know how everybody else looks at it. Have your own photographer, camera who you will need records, especially for traditional and social media use. After you made the official declaration, you share it so that it gathers more balls and all that. Make sure you have supporters present as moral boosters when making your declaration. Yeah, because like I've told you, you're going to go to wars where probably you will not be received with a lot of enthusiasm. So those people there will be the ones gingering you. Maybe when you make a point, they will hail you, hey, this kind of things. So you need to have all that. It helps. It makes the presentation a more successful one. It is very important to always inform the power base prior to your declaration announcement. And even though most will probably not attend, that's partly that's major stakeholders in organization. Now, the power base, in Nigeria, whether we like it or not, we have godfathers. We have people in the party that they will not come for your declaration. But if they are not informed of what's going on before it goes on, you're in trouble. That's just the truth. However, we want to say, oh, it's not right, it's right. Even abroad, where people think it's more transparent, there's a power behind that you don't see, but that must be comfortable with you before you make that declaration and invariably go on to get success. Because if these people, they will not talk, but if they're not, aware of what you're about to do, they look at it like a slight, and then it becomes a problem for you. So you should always have that at the back of your mind, and always prepare for these people before making your declaration, so that they are aware, even if they will not, most likely not be there. Focus on issues and not your prospective opponent's shortcomings, e.g. the incumbent. This is something I know it's very hard to do because Nigerians like to take swipes at who is in office, maybe to score cheap political points, thinking that, oh, if you're saying this person, is a thief, this person did not do right, it will make you more, well, like what's the word, liked by the people, the supporter base. But I think that's below the belt. I think we should be moving past. Yes, you can mention the shortcomings of that administration or that person's tenure, not directly referring to the person, but to show reason why, okay, you are thinking you can do a better job. But where we need to, we stoop so low to start taking swipes at candidates, I think I don't support it. Let me use that. And I think most of you too should support that kind of water politicking. Um, Some might disagree, but I believe that when holding a town hall, there should be a little motivation for those who attend such an occasion. Like I told you, this is not bribery. This is just, it's ginger the people and make them feel appreciated. So you're not trying to bribe them or making it look like, oh, you're paying them for coming. No, this is just to make them feel appreciated and like, okay, you took your time to come out and support me. So, this is a bottle of water, a meat pie, a snack pack, stuff like that. So finally, in the conclusion, a lot of aspiring can a lot of aspiring aspirants have not realized, or in fact tend to ignore the importance of a declaration and your manifesto. It is a very pivotal part of any successful campaign. This is There is a lot of planning which goes on before a declaration. Sometimes it takes years to develop. You might be doing this going on 4 years before you even make your official declaration. It happens. The most important thing is to end up with something that is well executed to captivate those whose votes you seek to win, but it must stay true to who you are. Don't go and trying to impress, now start concocting lies that, later on would be exposed. Remember that the declaration is the instrument that launches your campaign. It is what those who you hope will vote for you will latch onto and use to assess you and compare it to rival candidates. If your campaign is successful, it is also what will be used to reach your performance in a re-election. bid or in a subsequent campaign. It can't be overstated how it is important to get this right. So thank you. We've come to the end of the text, and I hope it was explanatory and you understood it. And if you have any questions, I'm open for that.
Thank you so much, facilitator. Please, if you have any questions, do raise your hand or you type in the chat box, please. Thank you.
Okay.
Please raise your hand or type your questions if you have any questions so our facilitator can answer your questions.
Okay. It seems like there are no questions, right?
There are, sir. Please let me unmute. Yeah,
Okay.
there are some questions. I want to unmute them, please. Give me a moment, sir. Mercy, please raise your hand again. Mobolaja, please ask your question. Mobolaji, please answer your question, please.
Hello?
Yeah, hello.
Can I go first? Can I go first?
I can hear you.
Can I go first? Can you go first now?
Yes, you can. You're
What did you say?
unmuted.
You can
Please ask your questions,
Yes, you can.
Ibrahim.
Okay, thank you very much, and good evening, everyone, and thank you very much, our moderator of today. Thank you very much for drilling us into campaign manifestation. My own is what recommendation or what possible solutions, possible way out are we going to advocate or emphasize on making the manifestation compulsory for all candidates or aspirants? Because we get to notice in our zone, candidates or aspirants refuse to publish or refuse to bring out their manifestation because they know we are going to hold them accountable after being into office. Because with last election, we have advocated and forced some candidates, they were able to do some campaign promises, and they have released some part of their manifestation, and now is remain 1 year now for them to get out from the office, and they're coming back now to us and start giving us another manifestation, which that 2023 manifestation that they give us, they have not fulfilled that mandate. And we start advocating for that, and the candidate is a House of Rep member, and the candidate start arresting, using security threats, arresting some of our people. So what advice are you going to give us, or modality that it will be mandatory, it will be compulsory for them to give us their manifestation, whether they win or they lose, we know how to handle, we know how to catch them accountable.
Hello, sir. Okay, I think network has distorted. Okay, he's back.
Well, I guess I understand the general question is. Yeah, so I guess he's coming from a point of view that this thing should become compulsory. Your declaration and your manifesto/agenda should become a compulsory component for any candidate contesting for any office. And how do we execute that? Now you see, There is no law guiding that, and I doubt that there will be a law to compel candidates to do that. Now, this is where you, the electorate, come into play. If you feel any candidate that is coming to seek for your votes, he must make a declaration and have a manifesto/agenda, then you guys must insist on it. For example, if the candidate is coming to me, you tell him if he doesn't have a manifesto and agenda, then you are not going to listen to him. So it's, I guess, only the electorate, such populace, that can make that, become like a tradition. But looking at it from the legal point of view, I doubt that can happen. I doubt so. I hope he answered your question.
Thank you so much, sir. Tunde, please ask your question.
Yeah, thank you for this. Quick question. Is there any part, if you don't declare properly or you don't carry out what some of the rules that you've just said, can a candidate be disqualified from contesting?
No, you can't. Your candidate declaration/manifesto is not a legal, is not a condition. Let me use the law word, condition precedent for you to run for office. You might even run for office without making a declaration/manifesto. We've had Godfather-backed candidates that did none of that and went on to win elections. So it's not like it's a must, but this is a tradition, and especially since we're dealing with people that we are now becoming an electorate that is quite exposed. So this is why we demand such and such, because this is what we'll be able to use to hold you accountable eventually. But if you're looking at it, you can't disqualify any candidate for not making a declaration or having a manifesto. It won't work.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Mercy, please ask your question.
Okay, good evening, sir. I'm very thankful that you are a lawyer because my questions are moving towards the legal angle. I don't know if you remember the period in Nigeria where we decided we wanted presidential debates. I hope, and the debates were held, I think they were hosted by, I'm trying to remember her name. Yes, Kadiri. And I remember watching those debates and feeling worse. Like I wished I was not politically literate watching, those debates, because a lot was said and nothing was said. And this has been something that has really, really pricked me when it comes to our electoral cycle, and we are currently in one. Because yesterday marked it, I think, 6 months to the presidential elections. And I've just been thinking that how can we hold these people to their promises? Like, how can we do this legally that it is enforced? And if it is even constitutional, can we, as the people, because we were taught in, I think last week, the person that took us, the lady that took us on the judiciary made it clear that, there are more than 3 arms of government. The 4th arm of government is the people. And since we run a democracy, which is government of the people, by the people, for the people, is there a way that we can constitutionally, would that require like a constitutional amendment, or is it something that we can go through the legal process to mandate that every party make sure that whatever manifesto or declaration their candidates are making is also legally binding? And then I want to know your thoughts on if, this will translate into strengthening our democracy. I think it will. I mean, if we have to hold you legally that you can go to jail or at least bear some legal consequences, I think it will. But I would like to know your opinion on that. So, and if we say we want to do this as a people and want to sensitize people and all of that, how do we start? How do we go about making manifestos legally binding?
Okay, so let's start. A manifesto and all that being legally binding. First things first, even if you wanted to make this kind of constitutional amendment, it has to go through the National Assembly. Now, you and I know that most of those in the National Assembly will never let this see the light of day, because it will invariably be a problem for them. because we know, I'm not saying everybody in the National Assembly is not, up to spar or ready to deliver. There are a lot of them, they're ready to deliver. But we also know we have a lot of chaff in it. So these kind of things where we want to make something become make legally binding by the Constitution, I don't see it flying. That's the truth. I don't see it happening. And a declaration / manifesto and an agenda. I don't know how you'll be able to buttress your arguments to make it a legally binding document. I'm looking at it. I'm trying to look at it even from a layman's point of view, because you cannot force me. For example, I've said when I become governor of Gombe, for example, now let me just give you an example. I'm saying that maybe all the less privileged people, I will be giving them maybe 10,000. And then that's one of the reasons I get into office. Then I get into office and now realize that there's no funds for that. And then I come back and tell people, okay, I initially thought this thing was going to work, but the funds are not there. Now, will you now use that? Let's assume it was a legally binding document. Will you now use that to make me culpable? Do you get? Because first things first, a lot of times candidates, when they are making declarations, there's a lot that they don't know about the office they are going into, which is the truth. Like, if let's even use the office of the president, even as much as, let me do this is even digressing. When Tinubu came on board, despite the fact that he did not want to take swipes at Buhari, but there were subtle cries like, wow, this guy caused a lot of damage. Do you understand? But he tried to downplay it for whatever political reasons. So now that person coming on after making all those promises to you guys based on quote unquote, and then he sees that what is on board is not going to be feasible, and you are saying that is already a legal document. Would it be culpable? It will cause a lot of problems. So I don't see how we can become legally binding. That's the truth. I don't see how it can happen. And especially in the kind of politics we play in today and the kind of politicians we have. The kind of politicians we have not that we don't have trustworthy ones and people that are ready to take the country in the right direction. But a lot of them, nobody's going to want to commit to a situation whereby what he has told you to get your votes is going to become legal binding. I doubt they would allow that in the light of day. I doubt that.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. We have 2 questions on the chat box. Can I read them out, or can you see them at your end? Okay. We have a question from Angel. She's asking, I would like to ask, how do you know if a manifesto is truly realistic or just a wish list?
Well, how do you not know? Now, you are the electorate that these guys are coming to seek your votes for. Now, for example, it's like me saying, maybe you are in which state? Let me think of a state. Maybe Kwara. Let's use Kwara. Now, I'm not saying Kwara is a backward state, but because there might be people from Kwara here. I don't really know much about the state, but now, can you imagine now you coming to run for governor of Kwara, and you're going to tell Kwarans that you want to bring them light rail? Light rail? When people have not been able to eat, the insecurity is ravaging there. Do you understand? That you don't know that already. That's a fat lie, because the Kwarans, what they want at this point is, insecurity curbed, welfare of citizens to improve, and then you are come and tell them that you bring them a light rail. Do you understand? That you're from even hearing that, it doesn't resonate with you as an electorate. It won't resonate. Do you get? So there are certain kind of statements that have been made by a politician that this is a fat lie and it's not feasible. Do you get? So I believe that should be quite easy to discern, especially considering that you're educated. There are certain things that this is possible. There are certain things I know this is not possible.
We have another question in the chat box from Nupiti Abraham. He says, thanks for the lecture. It's really amazing. But here is my question. From the lecture, you said a campaign message should be tested before declaring. Does this suggest that political declarations are designed more to satisfy public opinion than to express genuine convictions?
Even if it is genuine, yes, you are trying to make convincing arguments that make the people believe you can do the job. But the reason why you must test it now. Would you just sit down, write a text, and not have people question you? Because when you are making your declaration, there are some times where there's a Q&A session. So people come and ask you questions, and then you cannot be able to answer them. Then you will look very unserious. So testing that thing is just to make you prepared. Yes, it's your text, is what you believe can be done. But then again, your team might tell you, look, we've seen it now in campaign HQs, whereby they tell you, oh, don't make this statement. This statement might only cause more confusion or more uproar. So remove it. And it's not because you're not trying to be genuine. It's just because you are being, it's politics. You have to come with your A game. Let me use that word.
Okay, so we have 4 more questions here. I'm going to unmute you, Judge. Please ask your question.
Okay. Good evening, sir. Good evening, everyone. In respect to today's discussion, is it possible, or is there any legal or constitutional provision that will make it possible for us to subject candidates to psychological evaluations, background checks, and character assessments to help us ensure that those who are seeking to occupy public office, they have the right integrity. They have integrity, not the right integrity. And they have the right temperament required for leadership. Is it possible? If it's not enshrined in the Constitution, is it possible that we can add it?
Like I keep telling you, anything that has to do with the constitutional amendment is going to go through the twin chambers. Do you understand? And then most of these guys that you're seeking to uproot are there. So how would this your constitutional, amendment scale through? 1. Then number 2, you see, when it comes to integrity check and things like that, what most of you don't know, although some candidates lie and do get away with it, and then some get caught and can get disqualified for it. Now, say for example, the present minister of I've forgotten what was his portfolio, the guy from Abia State, if I remember, that falsified his school credentials, and then now has been taken to court because that's a crime. Normally, in the forms you fill when you're running for office, there are places where they ask you whether you've been convicted before. There are places where they ask you whether you've been in a cult before. Those kind of things, those kind of questions are asked. So you see, and your answer, when you give that answer, that document is supposed to be on oath. You go to a commissioner of oaths to sign it, meaning that everything you said there is the true representation of facts. But like we said, our country is still, our democracy is still, growing. So sometimes all these things are not checked and people get away with it. But when coming under a constitutional amendment, Gaskia, to be frank with you, I don't see it happening. I don't see it happening with the present mix of politicians we have at the National Assembly. That's the truth.
Ifechukwu, please, Eze Ifechukwu, please ask your question. You've been unmuted.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I don't exactly have a question. Rather, it's an extract from the questions 2 questions asked and a request to back them up. So I think I heard from the first person who asked a question, one Ibrahim, Usman, and the third person, Messi, talking about politicians or office holders not being able to fulfill their campaign promises. And particularly from Ibrahim, he said after now, we are in a new election season, which is coming up, in a short while. And the same politician who made promises in the last election season, but was unable to fulfill them, it's back again with another set of promises, a new set of promises. And when the electorates try to hold him accountable to the promises from the previous electoral season. He is now pursuing them with security agencies and all of that. So, if I understood anything from these questions, it's basically, how to hold the office holders accountable to their promises. And by your explanation, and okay, from as much as I know as a legal professional, that there's no law that particularly provides for this office holders to be held accountable to their campaign promises, because basically it's considered a political statement and it's just to sway public opinion and just to set their heart on a particular candidate during the elections. So that's basically it. But in this situation now, I think what the constitution or what the bodies of laws that run the country has provided for is the provision of impeachments, of which a member of the House of Reps that represents a certain district or whatever locality can be impeached, same as the senator representing any particular
sorry,
local government or whatever can be impeached. Same goes for the governor and by extension the president. Now, if the electorates can recognize the power that has been reposed in them through the constitution to get these guys out of office through the process of impeachment, then they can use it as something that could be held over their head, to threaten them or to hold them accountable to their promises. And in a electorates can recognize this power, use it to control the members representing them in the Senate or in the red chambers. Then it can also be used to influence the policies of the presidents, because these are the persons that also decide decides or that approves or disagrees on the policies of the presidents. So finally, the request I have is just to the program coordinators, this particular program, so please, I don't know if it's part of the topics that are going to be taught to us during the progression of the cohorts, but if it's not, please requesting that we are being taught the particular process for impeachment, a breakdown, so that everybody realizes this power that has been reposed in all and also know how to pursue it to a successful outcome. That's just it. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for your contribution. And I guess my ED and some of the other board members might be on this lecture. So if there's no class which deals with impeachment, even if none of them is there, I could bring it to them, and see how that can be encompassed within your, how many, I think it's about, I don't know, I think you do about a 4-week lecture. So we'll see how that can be included. Okay, so I think I have one more last question, right? Hello.
Hello. Hello. Good evening.
Yeah,
can unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah. Hello.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
I'm Isiaka Abdullah from Kwara State. Thank you so much, distinguished lecturer of the day. My question center around the campaign, the huge campaign funds, like the huge amounts used during campaign in Nigeria electoral system. I think it has been kind of a deterrent to a lot of competent hands that do not have such financial resources to vie for positions. But the cost is so huge that can only be afforded by very few Nigerians, and democracy that we practice It's not a government of just people that can afford the campaign or participate to be elected. It is a government that belongs to everybody, irrespective of your financial status. Thank you.
Yeah, so well, now this you see, when you're talking about finances, let's be frank. Let's not kid ourselves. Election is expensive everywhere. Now, the only difference you have in countries like America is that they made it in such a way whereby you have donors. Do you get? Now, in Nigeria, we have not reached that level of politicking. Because there, in like I'll use like United States, you have like super PACs, you have eight companies, lobbyists that they donate to your campaign under the grounds or under the guise that when you get into office, you go and formulate policies that you make sure their businesses, blossom basically. So we should stop looking at this notion that our election is only in Nigeria. It's expensive everywhere. It's very expensive. It's just that there's different routes to it. Now in Nigeria, yes, maybe it looks like it's individuals that have the big bucks that can do it. But now let me give you an example. You are saying you might think AK is too expensive, but how will you go around? You want to be governor of a state, for example, my state, and then you're going to go around 110 wards. How do you plan to do that if you're not going to use money? How? How are you going to go to every nook and cranny? There are places that, and then knowing fully well, like I told you earlier on, you have your crew, you feel logistics, there's fueling, there's refreshment, there's security. So how do you want to do that if you don't have the funds? How? Do you get? I know, yes, it looks harsh because maybe there are a lot of genuine people that want to run for office, but they don't have the wherewithal. So then you go and look for sponsors. You have to look for sponsors. That's just how it works. Do you understand? So yes, it might sound harsh, but well, that's the reality on ground. Electioneering is a very expensive endeavor. If you don't have the funds, you have to seek how you source those funds. It's black and white. There's no other way to sugarcoat it, basically.
Okay, thank you so
All right,
much.
guys, I think that's the last question. Right?
No, we're taking the
okay. Michael.
We have the last question from Michael, if that's okay by you.
All right, okay. Okay.
Michael, go ahead, unmute and ask your question.
Michael.
Okay. It seems Michael is not here. Okay, if Michael is not here, Chiamaka, please, over to you. Just round up.
Thank you so much. We have a lot of comments a couple of comments. I don't know if it's okay if I can read out one last question from the comment section before we round up this class.
That's fine.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. We have something from Peter Sunday. He says, thank you for the lecture. Could you please elaborate on the significance of the debates between the candidates in elucidating their manifestos and addressing inquiries prior to the election? Could you please elaborate on the significance
between the candidates?
Yes, sir.
Well, the significance of first things first. You see, when candidates are having a debate, very good. If for someone that is going to office, you want someone that is eloquent and can articulate his points. From the delivery of every candidate, you begin to see who's someone that can do the job. So that's why this debate sometimes people want it, because from there you begin to see repeating his words and not being able to articulate what he has in his manifesto. Then that calls to question what kind of candidate would that person, or what kind of official would that person be, whichever office is vying for. So yes, it does help to begin to make the populace and the electorate discern and look at who they feel would be a very, very, very viable candidate and can do the job. That's why this what they call it debates sometimes are quite helpful. That's the truth.
Thank you so much, sir, for this class. Really appreciate. This will be what we round up the class. So is there any announcement from the college? If there's no announcement, we want to thank you. And we want to also encourage everybody here to please follow the college on our YouTube channel and on our social media channels. Your followship will help. And this lecture is also recorded. In case you missed anything, please go back to the college, the YouTube channel, and then follow up on anything you may have missed. So thank you so much, sir, for the class. I want to meet everybody to be able to tell you.
Weekend.
Okay, sir.
Okay, let's all have a lovely evening. Good night, everyone.